All right, everyone, I'm going to show you how to make a BumbleBee capacitor tone pedal for two reasons. Apparently, these are the best sounding tone capacitors according to audiophiles and tone connoisseurs. They also happen to cost about $30 a piece. So if your guitar has two tone pots, that would cost you about 60 or 70 bucks just to replace the capacitors. Now, if you have several guitars, that might cost you hundreds of dollars just to upgrade all the capacitors. So if we put the capacitor in its own enclosure, we can use them on all our guitars, including the guitars we haven't bought yet. The second reason is convenience. Since I'm going to be putting this on a foot switch, when you're playing guitar, you have to break stride, stop, turn the tone knob, hopefully in the sweet spot that you're looking for, play, go back again, turn the knob back up, and you're disrupting the guitar playing. But if it was on a foot switch, you can turn the capacitor on and off without breaking stride. Also, the pedal can be placed after effects to warm those pedals up a little bit. The parts needed for this build is a capacitor of your choice. I'm using a 0.022 UF Emerson BumbleBee capacitor. 2 1/4-inch jacks. These are Noontrek. A foot switch. This is the Alpha brand. And a potentiometer. Again, this is also an Alpha brand. And the value is 100K linear. A knob. And a few wires. And the enclosure of your choice. The first thing I'm going to do is put all the parts in our enclosure, the foot switch, the 1/4-inch jacks, and the pot. And then we'll get started. Okay, after we have all our parts in the enclosure, yours should look something like this. We have our 1/4-inch jacks in here, our foot switch, and our potentiometer. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solder a wire from the tip lug on one jack to the other tip lug on the other jack, so tip to tip. And I'm also going to solder a wire from the tip side on one of the jacks to the foot switch. All right, yours should look something like that. We have a wire going from the tip slug to the other tip slug, and an additional wire coming from one of the tip slugs, and that wire is going to go to the center lug of the foot switch. All right, yours should look like that. Our wire tip to tip, and also going to the center of the foot switch. Next, I'm going to get our capacitor. I'm going to solder one lug to the left lug of the potentiometer, and the other side of the capacitor, we're going to solder that to the ground of one of our input jacks. All right, yours should look something like that. One end of our capacitor going into the left lug of the potentiometer, the other side of the capacitor going to ground on our jacks. All right, again, that's what it should look like so far. The last thing we're going to do is get a wire and wire it from the center lug of the potentiometer to the top center lug of the foot switch. All right, and that's the complete build. It is really that simple. All we have to do is test it out. That'll be bypass and on, and we set our tone level going to the right. Okay, for the demo, I'm going to play a few chords and go through the sweep, and play a few notes, go through the sweep, and then I'm going to play Led Zeppelin slide riff, and I'll be toggling on and off to show you exactly how this pedal would work in a real life situation.